All right, today I want to talk about adding integers, and I'm going to use the problems that you see on the screen to kind of get us started. So let's just take a look at I'm actually going to start with a problem before this. If we did a basic problem, let's say 1 plus 2, that's the most basic problem we got, I guess, besides 1 plus 1. 1 plus 2 equals 3, and just to belabor the point home, if we start at 1 and we add 2, we're going to go to the right? We're going to go 1, 2, and now we're at 3. That's 1, and you add 2 right here. So we see that on the number line. Just want to kind of paint that picture for you. Now look at this problem. We have negative 1 plus 4. We have negative 1 plus 4. So what does that look like? Well, if we have negative 1 plus 4, it means we start at negative 1 on the number line, and we're adding positive 4, which means we're going to go to the right. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we land at 3. So again, that's a way to think about it. We start at negative 1, we go 4 spots forward, and then we land at 3. So negative 1 plus 4 equals 3. Let's take a look at the second problem. If we say 7 plus negative 3, 7 plus negative 3, let's go back to our number line, and let's start at 7 plus negative 3. So if I start at 7, and I'm going to add, we think about going to the right, but instead we're going to add a negative number, which is the same as subtracting. We're adding a negative, so we're going to have to go to the left. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and now we land at 4. So 7 plus negative 3 is positive 4. So the first thing I want to get out of the gates is that when you add a positive number, we're going to go to the right like we did here. So this, I would say, adding positive numbers, we go to the right. But if we add a negative number, we go to the left. Adding negative numbers, we're going to go to the left on the number line. So adding negative to the left, adding positive to the right. Again, we added 4, so we went to the right. We added negative 3, so we went to the left. So there you kind of see it on the number line. All right, let's take a look at our next problem. So negative 1 plus 4 is 3. We went 4 spots to the right. 7 plus negative 4, or plus negative 3 is positive 4. Well, let's take a look at negative 2 plus negative 2. Well, let's think about this. We're starting at negative 2. And then we're going to add negative. So we add negative. Remember, we go to the left. So we're going to say add 2 to the left. 1, 2. And now we're at negative 4. This also makes sense if you think about it. If you start at a negative number like negative 2, and you're adding more negative, you're going to go further back, okay? Again, it's like if you lost $5, and then you lose another $6, okay? So let's think about this. If you lost $5, and then you lose another $6, well, you've lost $11. So negative 5 plus negative 6 is negative 11. So I like to view this negative as losing. So if you lose 2 games, let's say you lose 2 basketball games, and then you lose another 2 more basketball games, you've lost a total of 4. A negative plus a negative gives you more negative. In the same way as a positive plus a positive gives you more positive. Let's take a look at negative 6 plus 6. Go back over here. Negative 6 plus 6. So I start at negative 6. I start down here at negative 6, and I'm going to add positive 6. I'm adding positive. I'm going to go to the right. I'll use my green arrow here. Let's count 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we're at 0. So negative 6 plus 6 gives us 0. There's how you see this on the number line. I'm going to skip the last problem, but I think you can kind of see where we're going. Now, if I were to come up with a couple of rules for this, I would say this. We know this. The sum of two positive integers is always going to be positive, right? 3 plus 4 is 7. 1 plus 3 is 4. A positive and a positive gives us a bigger positive. Now what I said on the negative 2 plus negative 2, if I'm adding a negative number plus another negative number, I'm going to get a bigger negative number, right? You lose something and then you lose more than that, you've lost a lot. So negative 7 plus negative 11 is negative 18, okay? It's almost as if you drop the negative signs and just say 7 plus 11 is 18. Boom, tack on the negative. Negative 5 plus negative 2. Well, you lost 5 and you lost 2. Man, now you've lost 7. So there's that. Most of us don't have trouble with the same sign. Different sign is what gets us mixed up. And what I mean by different sign is this. If you're going to say negative 10 plus 3, that's a negative and a positive. Or if you're going to say 8 plus negative 2. They're different signs, positive and a negative. Now the official kind of rule would say find the difference of the absolute values. The answer has a sign of an integer with the greatest absolute value. Here's what I would say. The best way to do it is this. Make both of these numbers positive, or take the absolute value of both. Well, that's going to be 10, right? Okay. Make both of these positive, okay? That's going to be 10. That's already positive 3, and then you subtract them. Subtract a bigger number minus a smaller number. Well, 10 minus 3 gives us 7. And then you take the sign of the number with the greater absolute value. Well, in this case, 10 is obviously greater than 3, and so we're going to take the negative sign, and it's going to give us negative 7. Now that should make sense to us, because if you think about the number line, negative 10 plus 3, imagine that you start at negative 10. Okay, so you're starting really in the negative, okay? So we're over here at negative 8, negative 9, negative 10. You start at negative 10 and you're only going to add 3. Well, that's going to bring you back closer to 0, but only 3 spots, so you're still in the negative. Let's take a look at the second example. 8 plus negative 2. Make both of these numbers positive. Well, 8 stays at 8. Negative 2 becomes positive 2. Make both numbers positive and then subtract them. 8 minus 2 gives you 6. Then take the sign of the integer with the greater absolute value. Well, 8 is greater absolute value than negative 2, so our answer remains at positive 6. 8 plus negative 2 is positive 6. Okay, let's go back to our number line. 8 plus negative 2. So if I start here at 8, okay, if I start here at 8, and I add negative 2, I'm only going closer to 0 by 2 spots. I'm still in the positive, which lands me at 6. Again, make both of them positive, subtract them, and there's your answer. So if we want to look at a couple of examples, we have 13 plus negative 17. Make those both positive. 13 and 17. Subtract the bigger minus the smaller. 17 minus 13 is 3. Take the sign of the number, the greater absolute value. Well, 17 is greater than 13, so we'll take the negative sign and put it right here on our answer. Again, that makes sense. If you're at positive 13 on the number line, and you're going to basically add negative 17, it's going to take you 13 spots to get back to 0. And then an extra 1, 2, 3, sorry. I don't know why I said 17 minus 13 is 3. It's obviously 4. Sorry about that. 17 minus 13 is 4. Negative 4. 13. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4 because 17 minus 13 is 4. Sorry about that. Negative 15 plus 12. Well, let's take a look. Start at negative 15. Okay, we're going to make that positive. Keep that positive. Subtract them, and you get 3. Take the sign, bigger number, negative, negative 3. Imagine you start at negative 15 and you add 12. If you add 12, you don't quite make it back to 0. You'd have to add 15. So that's why you wind up at negative 3. Here you have 15 and negative 12. Make those both positive. So you have 15 and you have 12. and then we're simply going to subtract those, and you're left with 3. Which one has a greater absolute value? Well, 15 is clearly has a greater absolute value than 12, so we'll take the positive sign, and the answer is 3. Think about the number line. If you want to think about playing football, if like we talked about in class, -3 plus -4. Okay, imagine the quarterback had just gotten sacked, and so now he's 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and then he gets sacked again for 4 more yards. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to be more in the negative. He's going to be at -7. It's another good way to think about these problems. I'm going to ask you to do a couple on your own and see what you get. We'll call this one number 5. Okay, so everybody try these on your own. Number 5 is going to be 6 plus -13. Let's try -4 plus -10. I want you to add these to your notes. And let's try 14 plus -3. Have the teacher pause the video. Try each of these 3 on your own, and then you can unpause the video to see what the answer is. 6 plus -13. I'm going to subtract 13 minus 6. I get 7. Sign of the greater absolute value, -7. These are both negative, so I simply add them together. 4 and 10 is 14. Tack on the negative. Remember, it's like I'm at -10 on the number line. I'm going to add, or -4 on the number line, excuse me. We lost 4 and then we lost 10. Boom, we're all the way here at -14. 14 plus -3, make both those positive. 14 and 3, subtract them. You're left with 11. Sign of the bigger number, that's positive. The answer is 11. That's it.